So annotations. Okay. So annotations are used for giving special information to your program. They give a special information to your program. They convey some special information about your program. So what is that special information is? So that is called metadata. Metadata. They act as a metadata to your program. They describe about metadata means data about data. Data about data. That is a data which describes other data. A data which describes other data is called metadata. So this annotations, they act as metadata to your program. They try to describe your program. They give special information to your program. And the thing is, we call them as special comments. They are also known as special comments. See, normal comments your compiler will not process, but these comments are processed by the compiler to understand few aspects of your program. To understand the few aspects of your program, the compiler is going to use these comments. So that is why we'll call it as special comments. See, all the annotations, they start with the symbol @ all annotations, they start with the symbol @ all annotations, they start with the symbol @. So this is about basic introduction of annotations. This is the purpose of annotations. Okay, so there are few annotations which we'll call it as simple annotations, very simple annotations. So these are the annotations which we'll be using. These are the annotations which we'll be using, but these annotations cannot be used for defining custom annotations. So that's why we'll call them as simple. So these annotations you can use in your program, but they cannot be further used to define your own annotations. There is a process of creating our own annotations. Predefined annotations are there in Java. Predefined annotations are there. In addition to that, you can define your own annotations. But these simple annotations can be used only to define the annotations, but you cannot use them to write the custom annotations. So now, what are these simple annotations? There are 3 different types of simple annotations. One is overridden. Overridden. O is capital. The second one is @ deprecated. Third one is @ suppress warnings. Suppress warnings. @ overridden, @ deprecated, @ suppress warnings. As I told you, all of them starts with the @ symbol. So now we'll see about each of these annotations. @ overridden is used for or used to tell that a method is overridden. Okay, what is overridden method? We already discussed. Base class version, derived class version, you have the same method. Then what we say is, we say that it is overridden method. So this annotation can be used with methods. What methods? Overridden methods. In case your method is not overridden, then it will generate error. So I'll show you a demo of it. You can see. Okay, so I have a base class here. I create another this thing, demo extends sample. Okay, so now what I do is I write the same method. What we'll display, we'll see later. So what is that I write? @ deprecated. So now, okay, so I can run this program. So Java C example.java, it executes because I specified the annotation that this is a deprecated method. Suppose if my base class is not having this method, see here, base class is sample. Void display, I am telling that it is a deprecated method. Sorry. That's overridden. Okay, I'll execute and show you again. Overridden. RRIDN. I think some spelling is wrong. Okay. Sorry, it is at the rate override. Modified at the rate override. So now I have made it as a overridden method. I remove this. So what is that I am telling at the rate override means that this method is there in the base class, but I have removed from base class. So now what happens is it will generate an error for me. It says that it is not a, so method does not override or implement a method from a super class or super type. So super class, I don't have this method. Is that right? So this is how this is override annotation. So it is used whenever you want to tell that your base class method is overridden in the derived class. See, okay, and that is override. It's not overridden. Okay, so you can modify it. Okay, the second one is at the rate deprecated. Okay, so what is this one is? So this is used to indicate the methods which are obsolete, in the sense which have been removed from the Java. For example, your Java is going for different versions. So there is a method which has been removed. They want to remove in the newer versions. So what they make it as a deprecated method, so that in the further versions what they do is they are going to remove it. So whenever I use a deprecated methods, I get warnings. Whenever I use a deprecated methods, I get warnings that I am using a deprecated method. That is, I am using a method which is previous version. Is that right? So this is also used with methods. So this is used whenever you want to indicate that a method is obsolete. Is that right? So now I'll show you the demo of it. I'll show you the demo of the same thing. So at the rate there's no base class and derived class. You'll have only one class. Okay. So okay. Now I create an object for the class sample s1 is equal to new sample, right? S1 dot I call display. Okay. So now display is a deprecated method. So whenever I call this method, I'll get a warning. You can see. I get a warning. I get a note. Java uses or overrides a deprecated API. Okay, so this is normally used by Java inside of the compiler whenever they are going for newer versions. Whenever they want to make something obsolete, previous methods, whenever they want to obsolete, they put this annotation. Okay, so that is deprecated annotation. Is that right? The next third one is at the rate suppress warnings. Okay, so what it is will do is it will suppress the warnings such that the warnings will not be displayed on the output screen. Okay, so now we got the warning that previously we used a deprecated method and we got a warning. So this is one which is going to suppress these warnings, and this annotation is different from both the two things. This annotation takes a parameter, suppress warnings. Okay, so parameter will specify here in the form of braces or directly also use. This braces are optional, but this is compulsory. So now what are the values that it can have is deprecated you can give. So that is you are suppressing the warnings which are deprecated. Another one is unchecked. This is used for typecasting. Typecasting, if there is any unchecked, you don't want to do any checking of typecasting, then you can give this. So another one is serial. So this is we'll discuss when we go to files. There is something called serialization, and there will be a serial ID for variables. Whenever you want to skip that, you want to give these parameters. So you need to specify these parameters due to which you want to suppress the warnings. Which warnings you can suppress. If you want to suppress all the warnings, you can give comma, deprecated comma, unchecked comma, serial, like that you can. You want to do multiple things means you can do that. So suppress warnings will take parameters. These are the three parameters which it takes. So now the same suppress warnings will try to use with the deprecated method which we use. So previously I used a deprecated method. I got warnings. So now I'll put the suppress warnings. What happens? We'll see. Okay. So now where is that I'm getting? So wherever I'm calling the method, I'm getting. So what I do is at the rate suppress warnings. So in this I had to give only the spelling. So here it is deprecation. Now I don't get the warnings which I got previously. Okay, here it is deprecation, and here you does deprecated. Okay, fine. So now whenever you give that as suppress warnings, you will not get that warning message. Okay, so if I put this in comments, so okay, then also it's getting executed. Whenever I remove it, you will get that warnings. So whenever I put it, so you will not get that warnings. So that is what. So one more value which we saw now is you can have all also, which says that you can go for all. Okay, all is also there, where you can give one parameter and you can suppress all the things. So this is these are the three predefined annotations which we are having in Java. Is that right? So now how to define custom annotation. Custom annotation, that is means our own annotation. How to define our own annotation. How to define custom annotations. So custom annotations are defined with @interface. @interface. Okay, custom annotations are defined with the keyword @interface. So how you have to define is @interface, annotation name, braces. So this is the basic syntax. This is the basic syntax for defining a custom annotation. Okay, here you can specify the fields. All the fields will be specified in the form of a method. Each and every fields that you are having in this annotation, you will be giving in the form of methods. This braces you will be giving. Is that right? So this is how we'll be writing your annotation. So we'll write one simple annotation. I'll write a simple annotation and I'll try to use it. Is that right? So now how to create a simple annotation is @interface. I create an annotation name test. I defined two variables, string name. Another one is int roll number. For example, I am dealing with student. As I said, you have to give them as methods. They are variables only, but you should specify like this. So now this is, you have defined the annotation. This is your creation of annotation. This is creation. So this you have to save in a separate file. So this I will save it as test.java. This I'll save it as test.java. Should be saved with this name, annotation name. So now in another program, in my program I am accessing, suppose class sample public static void main string args. Okay, so here I'll specify test, or you can take normal class also. Normal class you can take. So annotation name is test. Okay, in this you can specify values for it. Name is equal to, suppose Ajay, roll number is equal to 101. 101. Okay, like this. So this is a defined annotation. See, we will not be using this inside of the program. We will not be using this, but this is the information which compiler will be using. For example, you are executing a program. You want to specify what environments you are using, or what are the some specific variables you will be using. That you can specify in this annotations. What version you are using, what software version you are using, other informations. Actually, this annotations will be used by tools like Springer. Other tools are there, Hibernate. These tools are there in Java. So these tools, they process these annotations and they generate your XML files. They will use these annotations. They generate code for these annotations. We need not write the code. It simplifies our task. So these tools, they generate automatically code and XML files by using these annotations. Okay. So now I'll show you the demo of it. See, nothing gets printed, but our annotation will be created and we'll be accessing here. Will not get any error. Okay. You can see here, I will create a test annotation. I'll create a test annotation. Already I put a file called test. So see here, otherwise I'll rename it as roll number. Okay, @interface test. Okay, I have to save it. Hope the screen is visible. Okay, so I have created a custom annotation. So now I have to compile it. So Java C test.java. I compiled it. So now I'll go to example.class. So I'll remote. Suppose I'll use here itself. Suppose anywhere you can use. It's not that you are used with main only. Test is the annotation name. What are the fields that I'm having is? What are the fields I'm having is name and roll number. So name is equal to, I say, suppose Java, comma, roll number is equal to 101. So that's it. Now I can compile this. Right, it works. Okay. Suppose if your annotation can be an array also. For example, if this is an array, it can be an array. It can be an array. So I'll put it like this. It can be an array. It can be an array. So I made it as an array. I made it as an array. Whenever you make it as an array, so for this name you have multiple values. You can put those values in braces and you can give. So Java, Ajay, whatever values you want, you can have array also. Whenever you have array, this is the way you can use it. Is that right? So this is how you'll be using your user-defined annotations. User-defined annotations, how you'll be creating and you'll be using. So this is about user-defined annotations. See, from annotations, you will definitely get 2 questions in MCQ. There is no doubt in it. Okay, so we'll move on to the next one. Categories or types of annotations. Types of annotations. First one, marker annotation. Marker annotation. Second one, single value annotation. Single value annotation. The third one, multi-value, or we'll call it as full value annotation. Full value annotation. The fourth one, meta annotation. Meta annotation. Meta annotations. Is it right? So now first we'll discuss about marker annotation. See, marker annotation does not take any parameter or anything, nothing. It just we define it like this, that's all. @annotation name. We don't have any parameters. It just is an annotation, that's all. It just conveys something, but it does not take any parameters. For example, we have predefined things we have seen. What is that? @override. Yes, @deprecate. So these things are marker annotations. They are marker annotations. They don't take any parameter. They don't do anything. They just convey the information that it is an overridden method. This conveys an information that it is an overridden method, and this conveys that it is a deprecated method. So these are marker annotations. Marker annotations, they does not take any parameters. They does not take any values, and they just convey some information about the annotation. They just mark the annotation and they convey some information. Example, predefined annotations are override and deprecate annotations, which are marker annotations. They does not convey anything. Okay. So the next one is single value annotation. Single valued annotation. So it takes one value or one parameter. Only one parameter it takes. So suppose I define something like this: interface, author. Okay. It takes only one parameter. That's it. It's taking only one parameter. It does not take multiple parameters. Single value annotation. It takes only one parameter. So this is where I defined. So there, if I use how I have to use. Suppose some class name I use, class sample. I have something public void display or something. Some method is there. How to use this annotation is @author. You can give directly value like this, or we have seen the another method. How you can do? @author, in brackets you can give name is equal to the value that you want to give. So either this way or this way. You'll be use the name attribute and you'll give the value, the attribute name, whatever you are given. So single value annotation will take only one parameter and one value. Is that right? Takes only one parameter or one value. So that is called single value annotation. Single value annotation. Is that fine? So next one is multi-valued annotation. Multi-value or we'll call it as full value annotation. Multi-value annotation or full value annotation. So multi-value annotation, as the name states, it is going to take multiple values. So multiple values or multiple parameters. So the same thing, I take interface, author, string name. I use some other name, some other thing. Suppose I use suppose string initial. What is his initial? Okay. So now I get 2 parameters. So now you can give the 2 parameters here, or you can go with the second syntax what we are giving. So what we do is name is equal to Ajay, comma initial is equal to suppose some K. Okay. So multi-valued annotation takes more than one parameter here. Any number of parameters can be there. Multi-values will be assigned in the annotation. So that is called multi-valued annotation. Your suppress warnings. Your suppress warnings is a multi-valued annotation. Your suppress warnings is a multi-valued annotation. Is that right? So this is this. These are the three classifications. The last classification is meta annotations. The last classification is meta annotations. So that is, so they define another annotation. They define another annotation. Is that right? So that means on top of one annotation, we are putting another annotation. What this one will tell, this will convey some information about the annotation that we are using. So that is called meta annotation. Meta means always metadata. We said no, data about data. So this is annotation about another annotation. This annotation will tell something about another annotation. This annotation will define something about another annotation. Okay, here we have different types. The first one is target. Next one is retention. The third one is documented. The fourth one is inherited. There are four types of meta annotations: target, retention, documented, inherited. Okay, so now we'll see each one of this. What is this targeted is? It will tell the target element of the annotation. What is the target element of the annotation? So it starts with @target. It starts with @target and element type dot. The parameter is element type dot. You will be using type. It is total capital type. Okay. So whenever you use this type, for which you are using, we'll tell you. I'll tell you same thing. Target element type dot field. Similarly, dot parameters. Dot local variable. Dot method. Dot annotation type. These are the values that it takes. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay. Field, parameter, method, class, I think. Okay. So now, whenever you use this, this says that it is used with field. This particular annotation is used with field. So this, whenever you specify this, this annotation is used with the parameters of the method. So this says this annotation is used with the local methods of the method. Local variables of the method. So this annotation says that it is used with method. So this says that it is used with the class. This type says that it is used with the class. So this annotation says that you are using with another annotation. Is that right? So now this annotation target, what it is telling, the annotation which you are going to use below this is applicable to what element type you are applying. It is applied to a class, is it applied to a field, or is it applied to a parameter, or is it applied to a local variable, or is it applied to a method, or you are applying it to another annotation, you have to tell. So the target, what is your target element on which you are applying this annotation, you are going to tell by using this. Okay, so now for example, I'll tell, see, I'm writing a deprecated method. Suppose if I'm writing a deprecated method, deprecate, suppose public void display is my method. It is a deprecated method. So now I put a target element here, target element. So what it says is it is meta annotation. It tells about this annotation. It is trying to describe this annotation. So what type of annotation it is element type dot method. It is applied to method only. Deprecated, what it is? It is used for indicating that a method is deprecated, a method is absolute. So in order to do that, what we are saying, this annotation will describe about this annotation. That is why we are calling meta annotation. It describes this annotation. It says that this annotation is applied only to methods. So that is what you are going. If I specify some other thing, I'll get error. If I specify type or if I specify something word, some other keyword I use here, I'm going to get error. So that is called target annotation. Target annotation will tell the target element on which you are going to apply the annotation. Is that right? The second meta annotation is retention. So retention annotation will tell the retention policy. Retention policy. What is retention policies? How long or to what extent the annotation is applied. To what extent is the annotation is applied. It starts with @retention and it takes retention policy dot. You have three variables. One is source, retention policy dot source, retention policy dot runtime, and it is compile, I think. Okay, 1 second, I'll check. Yeah, it is class. It's not. It's class. Okay. So what does this retention policy says is retention means to get back. To what extent you are going to retain? How long your annotation is applied is this is only till source code. Only in the code. It is not applied during compile time also. Just it is there in the code. It will not be applied during compile time also. Here it says it is applied to the class, that is it is applied during compile time. Till compile time the annotation is valid. It is not taken by the virtual machine. It does not take during runtime. This annotation, whenever you specify the retention policy as dot class, the annotation whichever you are defining below this, it is applied only till compile time. It is not applied during runtime. Whenever you use this, it is applied during runtime, till runtime. Till runtime, till your virtual machine is running your code, this annotation is applied. So that is called retention policy. So retention policy will tell you that to what extent or to which extent that particular annotation is applied. Is that right? So this is about retention meta annotation. Okay. The third one is documented. Documented. Okay. So @documented. Okay. So what this annotation says is, so this annotation will be included in Java doc tool. What is this Java doc tool is? There is a predefined existing tool in Java. There is a predefined existing tool in Java which is called Java document. So what it will do is it will provide the documentation to your program. It provides a documentation to your program. Okay. So normally whenever you are searching a predefined class in your these things, what it says is what is the base class, what you are having, all those things it is going to define. Similar way, for your program you want to generate your documentation. So what are the classes in it, what are the methods in it, what are the variables in it, everything will be generated by a Java document. So now you want to include the annotation also in the document. You want to include your annotations also in the document. Then you have to give @documented. Then the annotations will be included in the Java document. So Java doc is a tool or command which generates the documentation for your program. If you are using documented annotation, the Java doc tool will include the documented, what do you say, documentation for your annotations. So whichever annotations you are using, at the rate documented, if I write the annotation for this annotation, Java documentation is going to generate it. Is that right? So that is the usage of documented annotation. Documented annotation. Is that right? We'll go with the last one. We'll go with the last one, that is inherited. Inherited. Okay. So now this annotation is used to tell that an annotation is inherited. Inherited. See how you are inheriting a class from one class to another class. Similarly, you can inherit the annotation. How you are going to inherit this? You see here, at the rate inherited. Okay, I write some annotation, suppose deprecated or something. I write one class here, public class, suppose A. Now I write public class B extends A. Okay. Since I wrote inherited here, my annotation will get inherited to this class also. This annotation gets inherited to this class also. Okay, you have to use some other annotation class. We cannot use deprecated something, or your user defined annotation, whatever you are writing. So this meta annotations can be applied to user defined annotations also. You can apply them. Okay, so now what happens? So whatever annotation I am defining here, it is inherited to this one. It is applicable to this one also. Okay, so this is about inherited annotation. So this is about annotations and what is their purpose and what are the different types that we have discussed. Is that right? So we'll end this with a few questions which they have asked, and we'll end this one. Okay, so I hope you can answer this. Okay. Tell the answer for the first one. Which of the following keyword is used to create an user-defined annotation? So the option A is class, option B is enum, option C is interface. These are the previous Wipro questions. Is that right? So now your quiz questions. So it is obviously option C. Yeah, fine, good. Next one is, which of the following annotation will be used only in case of inheritance? Which of the following annotation will be used only in case of inheritance? Option A, it is deprecated. Option B is suppress warnings. Option C is override. What is the answer? Yeah. So because overridden can be done only with inheritance. Inheritance, we only with inheritance, this annotation is possible. Only overridden methods. So the next one, which of the following annotation is an example of marker annotation? Which is marker? So your suppress warnings is not a marker. Rest of the two things are markers. Is that right? So the next one, which of the following is an example of multi-value annotation? So multi-valued annotation, as I told you this, yeah, option B, that is suppress warnings. Suppress warnings is a multi-valued annotation. It takes more than one value. Next, which of the following symbol is used to represent an annotation? This you know. Option C. Yeah. Second one, you tell me this one. Which of the following is a valid annotation? You can see the four options. Option A, interface, new annotation. Option B, annotation, new annotation. Option C, at the rate, public at the rate, interface, new annotation, public at the rate, annotation, new annotation. Which of the following is the correct syntax? C. Yeah, fine. Can you apply more than one annotation in a target? True or false? Can you apply more than one annotation in target? It is true. It is true. Yeah, yeah, yeah. It is true. You can apply more than one. There are no issues. You can apply more than one. Okay. 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 Yeah. The next one. Which of the following retention policy and type defined at the rate override? Which of the following retention policy and type defined? Okay. So which of this retention policies you can define? Which of this you can define? Okay, first you see about the policy. Policy at the rate override means at the rate override means at the rate override means what type of thing it is? At the rate override means what type of thing it is? First you see the policy. First you see the policy. Okay, so first policy, what are the attributes that you can have? Policy, retention policy, what are the attributes you can have? Source, class, runtime. So policy can be any one of these things. Is it right? So now policy, what does it tell? Policy, what does it tell? How long it is applicable. So override is it is at runtime or compile time. Override is runtime or compile time. So if you are including dynamic mismatch, it becomes to runtime. Is that right? It becomes to runtime. Is that right? So then type can be class. So option C is correct. Option C is correct. Okay, the next question. Which of the following are valid retention policies available in Java? Retention policies. Which of the following are valid? Code, source, tools, runtime. Okay, I hope you can tell this answer. B, comma D. Yeah, B and D are correct. Rest of things is wrong. Okay, fine. So that's it, I think. Yeah, that's it. So that's it about annotations.